Lesson 60. These ideas are for today's review. 1. God is the love in which I forgive. God does not forgive because He is never condemned. The blameless cannot blame, and those who have accepted their innocence see nothing to forgive. Yet forgiveness is the means by which I will recognize my innocence. It is the reflection of God's love on earth. It will bring me near enough to heaven that the love of God can reach down to me and raise me up to Him. 3. There is nothing to fear. How safe the world will look to me when I can see it. It will not look anything like what I imagine I see now. Everyone and everything I see will lean toward me to bless me. I will recognize in everyone my dearest friend, with a capital F, my dearest friend. What could there be to fear in a world that I have forgiven and that has forgiven me? 2. God is the strength in which I trust. It is not my own strength through which I forgive. It is through the strength of God in me, which I am remembering as I forgive. As I begin to see, I recognize His reflection on earth. I forgive all things because I feel the stirring of His strength in me. And I begin to remember the love I chose to forget, but which has not forgotten me. 4. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. There is not a moment in which God's voice ceases to call on my forgiveness to save me. There is not a moment in which His voice fails to direct my thoughts, guide my actions, and lead my feet. I am walking steadily on toward truth. There is nowhere else I can go because God's voice is the only voice and the only guide that has been given to His Son. 5. I am sustained by the love of God. As I listen to God's voice, I am sustained by His love. As I open my eyes, His love lights up the world for me to see. As I forgive, His love reminds me that His Son is sinless. And as I look upon the world with the vision He has given me, I remember that I am His Son. God is the love in which I forgive. God is the strength in which I trust. There is nothing to fear. God's voice speaks to me all through the day. I am sustained by the love of God. What comes to me now as I read again these powerful affirmations of who I am and why I'm here, I am reminded that in this world, it is easy to get lost in the battleground, in the battlefield, the Course would say. And it's easy to get lost in the world of form. It's easy to get lost in the fear, the lovelessness, the chaos. And that is just the nature of this world. It's something we must understand, that that's just the world is going to perpetuate more and more and more of that because the world was made to experience separation, and that's what separation and the ego mind perpetuates. And the voice of the ego, the alternative to God's voice, which is not one that God has given you, it is one that we made in that moment of separation, the idea of separation, is always trying to distract us and keep us lost within the chaos. Because if we are busy with the ego's nonsense of lovelessness and fear, we can't remember who we actually are, we can't remember the power that we have, and we can't then access the voice for God within us because we're hearing all of this noise, we're hearing all of this chatter. And we can't be lifted to that place above the battleground where God can guide us, direct us, guide your actions, lead your feet, direct your thoughts from higher wisdom. The ego doesn't want you to know nothing about higher wisdom. The ego doesn't want you to know nothing about the holiness within you. It is doing everything in its power to keep you distracted. And that's why we say the thinking of the world is 180 degrees away from the thinking of God. It is the opposite of who you are. It is the opposite of understanding the power that lies within you. Don't you feel powerless in this world? Don't you feel stressed and overwhelmed, and it's just an onslaught of one thing after another that is not loving within this world? Okay, that is not of God, but you are a miracle worker. You have all of the attributes of God within you. God is the love in which you forgive. He's your strength. His voice speaks to you all throughout the day. You have access to it 24/7. You're sustained by His love. These review lessons, when they are laid out in this way with these 5 lessons, these 5 ideas, are so powerful. You can feel like kind of the ego trembling and it's shaking in its boots because you are affirming who you are. And just saying these words, going back to the beginning of the introduction to the workbook where Jesus says, you don't have to believe these ideas. You might actively resist these ideas. Just do the lessons. Just do them. They are working. They are powerful. Don't get too caught up in all of the logistics of it. Just do them. Sometimes just opening and saying these words is miraculous. And in this world, in these times, a relief. We have the gifts of God within us. We have all of these attributes, these beautiful gifts within us. But we have to claim them. We have to remember that we have access to them, that it's just part of who we are, because we have free will. And if we don't remember it, we can't pick it up and use it. So that's why the ego is so adamant about distracting us and convincing us that we're not worthy. We're not good enough to have that. That's not actually true. You're not holy. You're small and limited and meek and can't make a difference in the world. The ultimate imposter is that ego voice within you. You're not alone. This reminds me that I have access to all of these tools and that it's God working through me. If I feel small and limited, that's okay. I've just forgotten who I am for a minute and I can be realigned in that moment with the truth of who I am. And I just kind of missed the mark, got out of alignment, snapped back into it, and know that God is working through me. It's not about my strength. It's about God's the strength. It's not about my ability to forgive when I am kind of burdened by all of the stuff that circles that unforgiveness. God's love helps me. God's voice is with me and speaks to me all through the day, telling me exactly what I need to know, helping me, holding my hand, and helping me through this world, and helping me not only to walk through it and be in it, but to transform it, to be the change, to be the miracle worker in the world. I'm reminded of Arthurian legend, stories of empowerment and forgetting who you are, forgetting that you're the rightful heir. You might have been raised, this is not your home where you were raised. You were born to be the king. You were born to be the queen. You were raised in a different environment, but that's not where you belong. You are holiness. You are royalty. You are a child of God. Every one of you. And that resonates with us because somewhere deep inside, there is that knowing, there is that calling back to our holiness, to who we are as God created us. But we have to believe that we can pull the sword out of the stone to do it. Here in the world, we were meant to pick up Excalibur, take Excalibur, and it represents the sword of truth, the sword of love. Protect the truth here in the world. Be the presence of the alternative here in the loveless world. and to rule over it and create the good, the beautiful, the holy. You know, they often say, what were your favorites when you were very small? Mine was She-Ra, Princess of Power, circa 1985. Something jump starts within me when I hear the She-Ra, Princess of Power theme song. In fact, it is my alarm every morning when I get up. But she didn't remember who she was. She had a twin brother, the feminine and the masculine, and she held aloft this sword, the sword of truth and honor, and was transformed into this incredible superhero. And that is who you are, miracle worker. My mother recorded a temper tantrum I had because they said I had to go to bed, and I didn't want to go to bed because I was like 2 years old and I thought it was real. She-Ra was my everything, and I had to know if She-Ra saved the world or not. I couldn't turn the TV off and go to bed and not know if the world was going to be there when I woke up. I took this so literally when I was a kid. I loved She-Ra. I had to know if she was okay. I had to know if the world was okay. My mom didn't understand that. She just wanted me to go to bed. And I was trying to bargain and negotiate with her. I have to watch She-Ra. I have to know what happens to the world. And she recorded it on a cassette tape. I didn't have temper tantrums, but I did that night.